Welcome to The Outlook, the one and only podcast where we discuss rural Armenia. I'm Rebecca Ohanes, a communication specialist at COAF, speaking to you directly from our COAF Smart Center. From now on, you'll be hearing my voice instead of the delightful voice of Nane Vartanyan, for which I'd like to apologize upfront. But if you're missing her too much, just head over to YouTube and check out our Loop series where you can hear and see her. In today's episode, I'd like to talk about post-war stabilization efforts. COAF has implemented multiple initiatives to support Armenians affected by the Artsakh War, from emergency care to a post-war housing project for displaced families to veteran support. So today, I'd like to zoom in on the latter, the UNDP Revive Veteran Support Program, and for that, I've invited my dear colleague, Vatche Tavitian, a COAF Business Programs Coordinator, to join us. Vatche, thank you so much for being here and taking the time to inform us about this incredibly necessary project. So before we get to the details of our veteran support efforts, let's get to know you first. What people don't know about us, we're both repats. So tell us where you come from, how life has been there, and tell us everything.
Well, firstly, thanks for having me. To be quite honest, Australia, life was pretty amazing. I love being outdoors, and Australia has some of the most incredible beaches in the world. I'd be out every weekend, either camping or hiking. It's the best way to reset after a work week, which can be quite stressful. Back in Australia, I worked in the automotive industry at the manufacturer and distributor level. I worked in product and account management on various projects to introduce new product lines and increase sales revenues. It was a challenging role, but seeing my projects to completion was quite rewarding.
Mm-hmm. And so here's a question for you. You've probably never heard before. What brought you to this neck of the woods?
Yeah, I get this quite a lot. It can be pretty shocking for people, especially considering I have nothing bad to say about Australia. I guess the types of projects I was working on in Australia has a lot to do with why I'm here. The projects I worked on were creating money for organisations which ultimately had no social impact or benefits to the community. It was time for me to seriously consider my future. The truth is, I always wanted to repatriate to Armenia since I completed Birthright in 2017. But I became way too comfortable in Australia, which happens. When the 2020 war happened, the need to help rebuild this country became a priority. It was clear that Armenia was where I needed to divert all my energy. And put simply, I said, less talk, more walk, and now I'm here.
Well, I couldn't agree more. On my second day at COAF, I witnessed the launch of the Revive Veteran Support Program, and you were in charge of that, right? Could you share with our audience what that's all about?
Absolutely. Shortly after I started at COAF, the Revive Veteran Support Program was launched in partnership with UNDP and FAST Foundation. Mm-hmm. There's two distinct branches of this project. FAST Foundation is concentrating on supporting the acceleration of tech startups with a primary focus on assistive technologies for veterans impacted by conflict. When I say assistive technologies, I'm talking about things such as 3D printed prosthetics. COAF's role in this project focuses on the social reintegration of these veterans back into regular civilian life. Within the framework of social reintegration, we look at two different things: providing mental health services to soldiers and as well as that to their families, plus capacity building with the aim of job placement.
So what exactly triggered this initiative and what did it take to bring it to life?
Well, put simply, this initiative was born out of a necessity to support those soldiers that defended this country. There's no current central institution managing this process, and essential support services are quite absent, particularly in rural Armenia, where we already know is quite under-resourced. Mm-hmm. During the course of the war, over 11,000 soldiers were sick or wounded, and a substantial number now have to live with a disability. But the disabilities aren't only physical, they can also be mental. We need to treat them for these invisible injuries too, so that they can return to some sort of normalcy in their lives. Furthermore, a critical aspect to mental health support and personal development is having a stable source of income to be economically empowered. This will help them access a better quality of living. This program aims to give them new skills in a number of industries, such as IT, agriculture, and business services. This will help them secure long-term career prospects. In the background, COAF is also working with partner organisations to identify and align opportunities for employment of our veteran candidates. Our partners and us have also launched a website, www.revive.am, where you can learn more and get involved as either as a tech startup or as an employer eager to help our veterans.
Mm-hmm. Make sure to check that out. Strategically speaking, Vatche, what does the program plan look like and what stage are you guys currently in?
Well, Armenia is not a textbook country when it comes to a number of things, including the availability of technical resources in rural areas. Plus, the ease of transport to major metropolitan areas is quite lacking, where this is where the work is quite often available. So all the different tasks within these projects have been running in parallel to each other. This is due to the necessity to continuously evolve in the way the program is structured and delivered. As far as some of the processes were concerned, firstly we needed to identify our veterans. There are veterans in our rural communities with whom we have been in contact with to offer mental health support services. A veteran needs assessment was carried out to help frame who we are working with and what we need to consider. At the same time, we were working with our network of contacts in multiple industries as well as analysing the current job market to identify potential long-term career opportunities. This would help shape the training courses that would be delivered to the veterans. Right now, we are formulating a training curriculum to be delivered. We are also maintaining contact with the veterans to ensure that they are motivated to participate in the program. It's important to mention here that we are aiming to deliver this training online, with hybrid online-offline training wherever possible. Why, you ask? We just simply need to look at the map of where our veterans are located. They're dispersed across all of rural Armenia, in villages in Armavir, Aragatsoten, Shirak and Lori regions. They have varying disabilities, some even unfortunately confined to the bed. For some, transport and mobility is an issue. Quite often it may not be an option. A lot of them are working odd jobs to support their families too. It's important that this program is not rigid in training delivery so as to not compromise their ability to generate income for their families. As well as that, their ability to access health treatments should not be interrupted. These are realities which makes a one-size-fits-all solution impossible. This is not a deterrent to our mission. In fact, it motivates us to adapt.
And in terms of implementation capacities, what are the expected results? And do you think you'll be able to mobilize your target demographic, and how?
Well, we are selecting 100 veterans for this program, and we are targeting 100%. We want 100% of our participating veterans to complete the training programs and 100% of them to secure long-term full-time employment as a result of their training. It's the only way to approach a mission like this, because if you target any lower, then you employ a good enough attitude, and I feel that's pretty counterproductive. In saying that, we are quite realistic about the challenges. Our aim to mobilize and motivate our participants to undergo several weeks of training without being interrupted by their personal circumstances is going to be difficult. In saying that, I'm confident that we'll be able to keep them engaged. I've been speaking to them personally and they are quite eager to move on with their lives, which have been impacted by conflict. We are also motivated to keep them focused because this project, like most of our missions, is an emotional one.
Can you give us a sneak peek of what's ahead? What project are you currently working on?
Well, we have plenty of economic development projects in the works, which you'll see very soon. We have been working with local guest houses in Debet to improve businesses in ways that community members, the economy and rural tourism needs. We are expanding their ability to host more guests, plus introducing additional exciting services that they will establish themselves, including new restaurants, bakeries and event spaces. We are funding the creation of entirely new businesses by local villagers that will help counteract the allure of emigration as a solution of sourcing income. We want the population to stay in these villages and not leave to find work. We also want more and more people to visit these beautiful communities, so we are looking at introducing an entirely new transportation system to the region. What that means is that tourists and locals will be able to hop onto a new and safe bus to get to where they need for work and leisure. We will service a number of local communities more frequently and with modern technology, bringing the local transport system into the smart age. We have also just started our Say Cheese initiative. This will transform the local dairy production food chain and increase the quality and quantity of milk and cheese products. As well as that, it will create many more jobs. I could go on and on about the exciting projects we have in the sphere of economic development, but I better stop there.
Wow, that's really impressive. I have a final request for you, Vatche. I'd like for you to send our audience off. So in honor of our veterans, give us an outro.
Honestly, I can't say enough to honor our veterans. For most of us, their bravery and sacrifice is inconceivable. So let's not honor them by talking, let's do it by taking action. Action to improve this country in all aspects. Do it to the best of your capacity. By investing in programs that provide community support, by creating new projects to boost development, and even at the most individual basic level of being an Armenian, by respecting each other and the land they actually fought for. To learn more about this program, visit revive.am and stay up to date there.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure to subscribe to our channel on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Deezer. Talk to you soon.